And a good innings from him, 22 not out, and with Allan Border, he shared a 50-run partnership. Border playing a good skipper's innings there, 49 not out. One more run added to take the total on to 192 for 4 at the close of play. England, the wickets shared by the spinners, 3 for 56 Embury and 1 for 78 Edmonds. I thought bowled quite beautifully today, both of them. A very fine performance. And the situation going into the final day is that Australia are still 33 runs behind with 6 wickets in hand. Day started well with bright sunshine and promised much. By the time we got to the ground and the umpires were inspecting, the rain started to come down, and 90 minutes in all were lost in the first session of play. Play didn't get underway until 12:30. Here now is the first over. 1 run has been added. Ian Botham is the bowler, and Allan Border, the Australian skipper, is taking strike. Delivery. That would have been a tremendous break for England. Looked like inside edge onto the flap of the pad, and that probably sent it down very, very sharply. It may well have carried through at around about knee height had it not flicked the pad. A very, very difficult chance indeed. Single Border. And it takes the Australian captain on to 50. That's a very, very hard-fought 50. Played a slow innings here for a century in 1981 when Australia was seeking a draw. 15 193 minutes. Just 2 boundaries from one of the finest attacking players in the game, but it has been a splendid knock.
So remaining overs today, 57, as Embury gets underway. And a very early boundary. So Agnew to Border. That's short. It's hooked quite nicely. Hit it down. Finds Allen down at the leg. Just slipped down on that very wet outfield. Very greasy, very muddy down in that corner where Allen's fielding. A lot of the water taken from the middle was deposited. It's a lovely shot. It's the stroke of the morning so far, or afternoon indeed, as it is now.
Which makes the point about no swing. It was well up, good length for the swinging bowler, but it came absolutely straight, and Ritchie standing up, playing it rather majestically.
Off the back foot this time for 4 more. No margin of error still on this pitch for the bowlers. The length has got to be pretty well spot on. And now Embury gets a harder ball, one with a bit more seam on. Might just get that little bit of extra bounce from it. Nowhere near the bat, of course, that time, straight off the pad. And yes, he waited for a minute, and so the change has done it. Embury's taken his 4th wicket. Ritchie thought he'd blocked that, it spun back, and he was gone. So 213 for 5. Good knock that by Greg Ritchie. Put on 75, and his share's been 31.
He's just trying to work out how it all happened. He tried so hard, played so well. As well as the restraint, he played some good shots, but he angles the bat now severely just to stop the ball coming through. It spins back, it hits the leg stump. He feared a stumping, but in fact was bowled.
This man a deep square, but he's not going to get that. It was worth a try for Membury, slower and higher. The batsman wouldn't be expecting it. He's expecting it to be fired in for the spin, but just a little over-pitched.
I don't think Mike Gatting was too happy with that one, though, Richie.
He runs for border. Only the one, actually. That might have come off his glove. So now 2:25 for 5, and England must bat again. Now there's a top-class shot. Good footwork, not an enormous backlift, but a beautiful piece of timing by the Australian captain. Wasn't quite very intended, but he is off the mark. 52 balls Wayne Phillips has faced.
And of course, that's the difference. As you get higher up in the game, you get into the top class and you have to struggle all that time for the one run. And even that was an edgy one between the two short legs. But this is what happens when you play against two top-class spin bowlers in a difficult situation.
That's a very good shot by Allan Border. Beautiful stroke.
Yes, from outside the off stump there, the ball going just in front of square. But because he doesn't pick the bat up very high, he just controls it with that bottom hand. It was really a sweep shot in full control there.
Two more to Border. That's a lovely shot. Not a bad delivery, because Edmonds gave it a bit of air. He pitched it in the right spot, and it needed good footwork to get Border down there. He provided just that. And perhaps the spinning fingers are tiring a little. They've had a long spell, both Edmonds and Embury. A couple over-pitched, perhaps, and then one or two a fraction shorter. Wayne Phillips goes now on 2-6.
Embury to Phillips. It's a good-looking stroke, over-pitched, driven handsomely through the offside. That's 4 runs. And of course, runs just as valuable to Australia now as is time. That's what he's after. Might just not make the boundary. It's been chased hard by Graham Gooch. Full back heel to prevent the 4, but take him on to 99. So indeed is Phil Edmonds. Embury going to switch again to over the wicket with the Border on 99. There's a sweep shot, beautifully played, nice control, and Allan Border repeats that fine century made here 4 years ago. Up goes the bat, it's another 100, and surely a match-saving 100 for Australia now. With a great performance. And coming off 283 balls, included 7 fours. His 14th Test match 100. Launched into that, nearly crushed it through the offside. The run's starting to flow quickly now from Border as he adds 4 more to his score.
This is the problem because once Australia got in front, got a bit of confidence, runs were going to come a bit easier, particularly with 2 players like Border and Phillips, and another classic off drive there.
Much better bounce for the batsman there. The previous ones he tried to play that shot from had kept a little low, but that bounced up nicely for him. Put away square for 4. He's picked his spot again and picked it quite beautifully. Freeman on the leg side boundary, but knew where it was going. And it's 4 more to Border.
Again, you see Border, not much backlift, but that bottom man really comes in at the last minute just as he makes contact, and that gives him the power and punches it away.
Interesting to see if he just got a nick on that. Indeed he did.
Allan Border looking to get down the wicket again here to Phil Edmonds, and got a thick bottom edge on that. No chance for the wicketkeeper. It shot along the floor now after he'd nicked it. There's no point in giving these 2 batsmen a lot of practice with nothing at stake now. And from worthwhile, like someone like Graham Gooch, looks like maybe Ian Botham is going to bowl his off spinners now. So anything could happen now, James.
Yes, I was rather frightened of that. There he is, off 2 or 3 paces. I think moments whether he rather fancies himself as an off spinner, but we shall see. It's swept away for 4 runs. Made that turn.
Well, what's Phil Edmonds been doing all afternoon? Certainly got that one to pitch on a length, spin quite considerably.
There's no rest for Edmonds. I think he's calling him up to go on the other end.
Well, change is as good as rest, Jim, so there he goes. I don't think he'd be over-impressed with that, Phil Edmonds.
Played that sweep shot very effectively all the way through his innings. He seldom missed out on it. Controls it, turns the bat over, keeps it down. And those 2 runs sees Australia onto the 300 mark.
"25 minutes to go." Be a bit of negotiation there between Botham and umpire Bird. And there may be some runs for Border. It's been conceded that England are not going to bowl out Australia and then make the runs required. The umpires given signal to the spectators that the game can finish at 5:30. And 4 more. He's getting. That's come right off the bottom of the bat. That feels a bit slow down this end, but it will still beat Graham Gooch into the rope. Right off the Q end of the bat. Now Wayne Phillips needs 1 more run for 1,000 in Test matches.
I think it's been suggested about Allan Border might want to declare at this stage. If he declares, of course, it'll take him through to the 5:30 break-off point, and that will be the end of the match. They could technically go off now, and the batsman will be undefeated. Border decides to play it as straight as he's played it right throughout this innings, and might look forward to the bowling of Allan Lamb.
The ominous thing is that Downton is standing back. Allan Lamb, 36 matches, just the 1 wicket, but no great number of runs. Four more to Alan Border. Can reveal to you, actually, the name of the victim, the man who fell to Allan Lamb. Listed as M. Prabhakar. No ball called by umpire Harold Bird. Looked as though it came off the bottom edge as well. And that does take Wayne Phillips past 1,000 runs in Test cricket. And with a touch of irony, just as this game is about to draw to a close, the sun comes out brightly here at Old Trafford. That's the end of Gaddings Over. It's the end of the match at Old Trafford, the 4th Test match, a draw with Australia 340 for 5. And a magnificent performance by the Australian captain, Alan Border.
And so the 4th Test match ends in a draw, and the teams go on to Edgbaston all square in this.
It's no score.